Today I will be spreading you with knowledge, wisdom, and facts. My name is Kathleen, who is currently enrolled in Latin in high school, and I'm here to tell you the many benefits to learning Latin and why you should learn Latin. Of course, there are many motives as to why people would want to learn Latin. There's stuff like pop culture, or I know you Harry Potter fans, all of you guys with your Leviosa or Expecto Patronum, which really does mean something in Latin, called Iaway the Patron. There's also I know my friends out there who play Genshin Impact. There's Latin in that game, and I know you guys know that. I know who you are. And then there's Carpe Diem. Of course, seize the day. Everyone knows that, but I only know it from Phineas and Ferb.
Carpe diem. It's Latin for seize the day.
And then, most notably, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And then there's Carlos, Carmina Burana, Dies Irae, the songs that they sing in your Roman Catholic Church, the funny Latin chanting that's in your local horror movie, and Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, One Wing Angel. I bet you Final Fantasy fans knows that. And maybe some Dark Souls, but I don't know. Some people say it's pseudo-Latin, which they try to make it sound Latin, but it's not. And then there's Minecraft. They have Latin in Minecraft, ladies and gentlemen. You guys know what Minecraft is. Now let's take a dive into what exactly is going on with Latin. The languages. If you take Latin, you can learn languages easily, most notably the Romance languages of our modern time, which include French, Italian, Spanish, Romanian, and Portuguese. There's the etymology of words that you can see throughout Latin. Latin words, roots, and phrases that are basically the same thing in our English language of the modern time. And it's like learning 6 languages all at once. 6! Could you just simply imagine that? One example I have for this is soliloquy, which came from solus, which means only or soul, from Latin for loquor, speak, I speak, and qui, which is just the ending of it. So it's soliloquy. Yeah, now then, the careers. If you take Latin, it's gonna help you a lot for law, medicine, science, music, theology, philosophy, art, and literature, and maybe even more. It helps with the classification of animals, which could include Canis lupus, which is wolf, or Canis lupus familiaris, which means dog, domesticated wolf, ayo, Spongiforma squaripantii, which could mean the thingy, the sponge that was found in Malaysia a while back. Link the website. And sus, which is useful for all of you people who are getting into science. Biology, the study of life. There's also political language, which includes bona fide, good faith, de facto, in reality, ad hoc, for this purpose, and even more. And then for you people in the music, there's tempo, which means time, adagio, adagio, slow, but not as slow as lento. There's a difference. And then there's, for people who are in literature, et tu brute, which is from William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, which you guys will be learning at one point. For theologians, people who are into theology, out of nothing, ex nihilo, and imago Dei, in the image of God. And for people who are foodies, into food, pasta primavera, spring pasta, delicioso. And for you guys who are getting into medicine, although there is a mix of Greek and Latin in it, could be black, melano, cyano, blue, polio, gray. And then for Latin, it's there's such stuff like phobia, abnormal fear, rhea, flow or discharge. So like diarrhea. You get what I mean. Oh yeah, and you guys who are going into archaeology, say in situ, or in the original place it was taken, or it was found. Skills. If you take Latin, you will hone your abilities to the fullest. You would enhance skills, precision, attention to detail, and patience, reflecting on various ways to say the same thing, helping our English grammar. It's an integrating factor that may be missing in modern education. The scores. If you take Latin, the SAT would have scholarly improvement, improved vocabulary and SAT scores. In one of my sources that I'm gonna post the link to right now, according to Association of American Medical Colleges, students who major or double major in classics have a better success rate. The law school applicants with the highest grade point averages and LSAT scores study the classics in college, which is pretty good. Anyway, next, deciphering. If you take Latin, you could easily translate new words. It's easier to identify complex words or phrases. The clue to doing so is that half of our English vocabulary is made up of Latin words and roots. And now for the history. If you take Latin, you would know more about social studies and such. For you law and government students out there, be prepared. You'd learn more stuff about world geography, governments, politics, and etc. etc. That's a Latin word. That's a Latin phrase, dude. You get to learn more about the Roman Empire. And you would know that the Romans excelled in practicing the arts of law and government. Latin was the universal language for 1,000 years before the insurgence of English. It was like the English before English. It can preserve the languages of Western civilizations. All you have to do is just search up the Latin root, and there's your word. And now the psychology. If you take Latin, you would learn more fascinating concepts about what's going on in your head. It's a way of performing advanced study in multiple subject areas. Scholars believe that Latin hones the mental faculties and cultivates analysis and concepts, which is pretty cool. And now the facts. If you take Latin, you would learn more interesting things. Latin is one of the oldest languages that can be traced all the way back to 75 BC. And I know BC is a Latin term. What does it mean again? Hold up. Never mind, that was wrong. BC means before Christ, but its other counterpart, which is AD, means Anno Domini. That is Latin. In the year of the Lord. That's what it means. There is little to no native speakers in Latin today, but it holds most importantly in the Vatican City all the way over in Europe. And now AM and PM, ante meridiem, and post meridiem. And I didn't know this until now, but the Romans had different types of Latin. The educated people knew classical Latin, and the people who were too poor for education, the common folk, learned vulgar Latin. And now for the culture. If you take Latin, you would know that there's a worldly impact, and once after you take it, you'd have individual effects. There's influential literature to come of Latin and the enjoyment thereof. You could also get a deeper understanding of literature prior to 1950, and it also has an impression on Western civilization today. In America, the US Constitution was inspired by a lot of Roman ideas, including checks and balances, the separation of powers, the need for a Senate, i.e., that's also Latin, id est, which means that is, the Roman Republic's impeachment methods, vetoes, term or age limits, filibusters, requirements, and etc. That's also a Latin word, but I think I said that previously in this video. And there's also the remains of what the Romans left behind. Check out what they did to Pompeii, Rome, Londinium, Carthage, and the other places that they left in their wake. Now, as for individual effects, it helps express ourselves with more effectiveness and confidence. It allows for a better understanding of one's own life and culture. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you for watching.